I've already sublimated my design on this tumbler, so we're starting by adding baby oil into it. I filled it about halfway full before I put my painter's tape around the edge and fill that full of glitter. Now I'm using this opal glitter, which is a mix. Some people prefer not to use chunky. I prefer to use either a chunky fine blend or a fine glitter, but ultra fine normally I find will clump. I alternate shaking the glitter around and hitting it on the palm of my hand on both sides so that the glitter falls and doesn't bunch up underneath the hole. So you can see it got pretty full on one side. You can also use a tool if you do get any blockage. But after I'm satisfied with the amount of glitter, I'm going to remove the painter's tape and wipe off all of that excess before putting more baby oil in it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my baby oil in, and right as it gets to the bottom of the inside layer, I'm going to stop. And the reason is I'm going to try to get the excess air that is trapped in the glitter out first before I try to fill it up all the way. So after wiping it down, I'm going to put my finger on top and tilt it back and forth and kind of shake it around to get that excess air out of the glitter. So this is going to prevent any surprises and the creation of a larger air bubble that I want. And I do say a larger air bubble because I do leave a bubble in all of my snow globe tumblers. Once it starts getting really full, I'm going to tilt the tumbler so that the air pocket is directly underneath the hole, and this allows me to get a really full tumbler with a smaller air pocket. And once that is done, then I'm just going to lay it back down flat, and I'm going to wipe off everything with a paper towel with some alcohol on it, which is going to allow more adhesion on the bottom once I go to seal. This was my first snow globe where I used 100% baby oil. I do normally use a water and vegetable glycerin mixture. So I initially went to seal with my hot glue, but it did not have the same reaction to the liquid as my mixture normally does. I immediately had the hot glue fall directly into the hole, and it really just wasn't adhering to the glass even after I wiped it down with the alcohol. So I removed it and used my tools here to pull the chunk that just fell straight down out, and went to some adhesive dots. Now these are dots that I had previously for putting some of my sublimated coasters onto packaging. So they're pretty thin. They're not the adhesive dots that you normally see people using for these that they put down into the holes. So these were going to go on top of them. And since they're thin, I did end up using 2. And while this was a makeshift solution, they did actually end up working pretty well. I didn't have any issues with them sticking to the outside of the glass, and they were just about the perfect size. Once those were applied, I went in with my UV resin from CCDIY and applied just a little bit over the hole, making sure that it not only covered my adhesive dots, but that it also touched the glass itself to get a good seal. And then going in with my UV lamp, also from CCDIY, because I got the bundle, and hitting it with that for about 60 seconds. I also personally love the look of adding the coordinating glitter to the bottom of the snow globe tumblers, so I decided to do that with my mix as well. I used a total of about 5 milliliters of the UV resin and a substantial amount of glitter because I like a good thick glitter coverage. So this did make it kind of chunky, So I basically just pushed it out, not all the way to the edges, but I'd say I left about 1/8 of an inch around, and just tried to make sure that it was as flat and evenly coated as possible. I knew I was going to have to go in with another coat of epoxy anyway, so I wasn't really super concerned. Now, when you're doing this, if you're using a real chunky mix, you absolutely can sand in between layers if you want to make sure that you get this bottom good and smooth. My only word of caution is just make sure, if you are sublimating like I did and you're not going to be epoxying the entire glass, is to make sure that when you're sanding that you don't touch glass, because otherwise those scratch marks are going to stay. So another 60 seconds and it was good and smooth. I didn't end up needing to sand in between, so it just needed one more thin coat of UV resin over it and it was good to go. So this time, since it was so thin, I just used a gloved finger and made sure that I got all the way up to the edges, but not over the edges, because you don't want to create any drips. You just want it good and smooth for the base with really good coverage. So another 60 seconds. And once I knew that this was good to go, I did end up going back with my UV lamp one more time and doing another 60 seconds, just to make sure that it was at max hardness. Then the final touch is to add this rubber base. I have a few of these that came in various orders, but you can also buy sheets of them off of Amazon. I'll have those linked. I really love using this for all of my glass tumblers. Go ahead and give it a good shake to go ahead and get the glitter moving, and voila! I'm absolutely obsessed with this cup. I love it so much. I love the size of it to begin with, but this opal glitter is just freaking fantastic. And I did upgrade the straw to this awesome color changing one from Happy Fox Supply Co. Everything is linked in the description, all of the products that I used and any discount codes that I have. This is a real-time video, so you can see the flow of the glitter. If you have any questions, please just drop a comment. I'll answer them as soon as I can. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope that I have possibly educated and inspired y'all in some way.